The African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum was recently held in Cairo with an aim of closing the gender gap by driving women's business leadership and entrepreneurship on the continent. According to data compiled by UNESCO, access to startup finance was the most identified barrier impacting women in Africa, but the tide is certainly shifting. For more on this, I'm now being joined by Irene Ochem, the founder and CEO of AWIEF. Irene joins me from Tangier, Morocco. Irene Ochem, thank you so much for taking time out to speak with me today. I've got to tell you, over the past couple of years, we are seeing a lot more female-led platforms, female-led discourse, particularly concerning economics and business, taking place on the continent. But an important question is the dialogue and the policy suggestions that are being discussed in these forums, trickling down and actually impacting real women living in Africa.
Yes, absolutely. No, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here with you to share insights. To answer your questions, yes, absolutely. In recent years, we are beginning to see more women-led business summits taking place around the continent, discussions. And at AWIF, the Africa Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum, what we do, one of the things we do is actually hosting an annual conference every year. And the objectives are, quite a couple of them. And some of them are that they help to increase awareness and create a more informed understanding of the opportunities, the challenges, and the approaches to women empowerment. And the result is we get is an attention and resources that are directed towards supporting women innovators and entrepreneurs at all levels of the African society. It's also an opportunity to spur African women to greater heights, in becoming more economically influential in addressing the issues that stand in their way. We also use the opportunity to celebrate and showcase successful women entrepreneurs and professionals in key sectors of the African economy as role models, and they are inspirers of other women, and they help to stimulate, motivate other women to unleash their potentials and to reach and exceed their goals. We also bring together the whole ecosystem, stakeholders, in various intermediaries, such as governments who make policies that affect women, development partners who want to dedicate resources and attention to women's economic empowerment, the media like yourself, and then the entrepreneurs themselves. So it's bringing all stakeholders together, to share ideas, good practices in the area of promoting empowerment, innovation, and entrepreneurship for women. So we are mobilizing African stakeholders, global media attention to the challenges and strategic responses for women entrepreneurship in Africa. So I think, yes, absolutely, they are necessary. They are happening. Our annual conference every year, since the past 8 years, we have achieved a lot, if not that awareness, but actually bringing intermediaries together, to discuss gender-specific constraints faced by African women innovators and entrepreneurs. And yeah. So
sorry to interject there, Irene, because I know you've done a fabulous job. And in fact, this year's forum, you did have some really major players there. And you mentioned awareness, which is a really good term. But then also it's changing that narrative, isn't it? It's not just helping women out of poverty. Not every African woman who wants to start a business is poor. These are educated women that just need a little bit of support. We are unfortunately running out of time. But before I let you go, Irene, what would you say are the kind of unique, nuanced obstacles that impact women in Africa that you don't see in Europe and America? Because we do know that there are women across the world who are also struggling. But what do you think is quite unique about the African women's obstacle?
I would say the one thing that is unique is the cultural bias and social norms, that are peculiar to Africa. And that goes with, when I say social norms, in most parts of Africa, women are even not allowed to open a business without in some parts of Africa, I wouldn't say most parts of Africa, without their husbands, being partners to that. So the social norms, which are systemic, the bias against women of what they can do and what they cannot do and how far they can go alone in the society. So that is one challenge, one constraint that is specific to Africa. Africa is a paternal, a patriarchal society, and we are fighting that elephant in the room, which is patriarchy. So that is unique. Then the other challenges of accessing markets, accessing finance, accessing network and skills, I believe those are more global constraints that women face everywhere in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. But I know that the AWIEF are really trying to, overcome some of these barriers, help women overcome those barriers. And we really look forward to hearing more about what you're planning for next year. And hopefully the next time you're in London, you will come and visit us in the studio. Irene Ochem, the founder and CEO of the African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum. Thank you so much, Irene.